Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we journey into the hidden world beneath our feet, a place of hidden passages, glittering crystals, and secrets carved over millions of years. This is a world few ever see, yet one that has shaped our history, sheltered our ancestors, and preserved stories older than memory itself. Caves are like time machines. They hold echoes of vanished oceans, the bones of extinct creatures, and the faint traces of humans from thousands of years ago. Within them, entire ecosystems thrive in darkness, and silent chambers stretch taller than cathedrals. In these underground realms, science and wonder meet in perfect silence. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like and subscribe, or simply share a thought in the comments below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Get comfortable and allow your thoughts to drift with the steady rhythm of discovery. Let's begin. Caves can form from nothing more than dripping water. When you picture a cave, it might seem like a dramatic, violent feature of the earth, something ripped open by earthquakes or swallowed by sudden collapses. Yet some of the world's most spectacular caves form from something as gentle as dripping water. Rainfall seeps through soil, picking up a slight acidity from dissolved carbon dioxide. When this water reaches limestone, it slowly dissolves the rock, drop by drop, year after year. Over thousands and then millions of years, this quiet process hollows out chambers that grow into vast underground labyrinths. The drip of water doesn't stop once a cave is born. It also builds the stalactites and stalagmites that decorate the ceilings and floors, like nature's own sculptures. Every curve, every hollow, every delicate stone needle may have been shaped not by catastrophe, but by the patient persistence of dripping water, reshaping the earth in near silence. Some caves take millions of years to form. To stand inside a cavern is to stand inside a timeline so vast, it humbles the imagination. Caves are not made overnight, nor even within the span of civilizations. Many of the world's most famous caves, sprawling systems beneath mountains, corridors lined with mineral towers, echoing vaults taller than cathedrals, began forming millions of years ago. The pace is almost imperceptible, water seeping into stone, dissolving just a few grains of rock in a century. Whole cave passages may have started when dinosaurs roamed the earth, continuing their quiet expansion through ice ages, warm periods, and the entire history of humanity. Some stalagmites in these caves grow so slowly that a human lifetime would not reveal even an inch of progress. To wander through such a place is to feel time stretch to its longest measure, where the earth itself seems to breathe in an endless rhythm of patience. Caves can be carved by flowing lava. Not all caves are born of water. In volcanic landscapes, another process works with fiery speed compared to the slow drip of rain. When a river of molten lava flows down the side of a volcano, its surface cools first, forming a hardened crust. Beneath this crust, lava continues to flow, moving downhill in a molten stream. If the eruption ends or the flow drains away, the crust can remain behind as a hollow tube. These lava tubes are caves forged by fire, some stretching for miles underground. They can be wide enough to walk through, with ceilings arching like stone tunnels, and they often retain rippling patterns along the walls where molten rock once surged. Unlike limestone caves that take millions of years, lava caves can form in a matter of weeks or months. They remind us that caves are not only the slow work of water, but also the sudden artistry of fire. Sea caves are sculpted by waves alone. At the edges of continents, where land meets ocean, waves strike again and again, wearing away at cliffs. Over time, the relentless pounding of water begins to carve hollows into the rock. Salt spray, chemical erosion, and the grinding of sand-laden water combine to dig deeper and deeper until sea caves emerge. These are places shaped entirely by the force of the ocean, their entrances often hidden behind crashing surf. Some are shallow, little more than alcoves, while others reach far into the cliffs, echoing with the thunder of waves that never stop. At certain times of day, sunlight may strike just right to illuminate their interiors, filling them with shafts of gold or shimmering reflections. For sailors and coastal dwellers of the past, sea caves often carried mystery and fear, mouths of the sea itself, breathing with the tide. Yet to science, they are simply another patient creation of water's power. Caves can form inside ice sheets. Caves are not limited to stone. In places like Greenland and Antarctica, or even high mountain glaciers, ice itself becomes the host for underground passageways. Meltwater trickles through the frozen mass, cutting tunnels that twist and wind like glassy arteries. Some ice caves glow an astonishing blue, as the thick ice filters sunlight into jewel-like tones. Others are pitch black, echoing only with the sound of dripping or rushing meltwater. Unlike rock caves, ice caves are fleeting and fragile. A tunnel carved this year may collapse the next, erased as the glacier shifts and melts. Still, their beauty is unmatched. Translucent ceilings, frozen walls that seem to glow from within, and chambers filled with shimmering icicles. To enter one is to step into a temporary world, a fleeting cathedral of frozen light, destined to vanish long before the stone caves of the earth even change by a fraction. Wind alone can hollow out caves. While water and lava are the most famous sculptors of caves, even the invisible movement of air can carve its own hollow realms. In deserts where sandstone cliffs tower above arid valleys, strong winds carry grains of sand that grind against the rock. Over centuries, this constant abrasion can wear openings into the cliffs, hollows that deepen into caves. These aeolian caves, formed by nothing more than wind, can look smooth and flowing, as if they were shaped by a careful hand. Some resemble shallow alcoves, while others twist into labyrinths where desert breezes whisper endlessly. Unlike the dripping patience of limestone caverns, these caves reveal the artistry of motion itself, of invisible currents shaping the face of stone. To stand in one is to feel the air as both sculptor and companion, a reminder that even the gentlest force, given enough time, can reshape the earth itself. Some caves grow their own crystals. Deep underground, where mineral-rich water seeps through cracks and pools in still chambers, caves can become natural crystal gardens. Over immense timescales, dissolved minerals slowly precipitate out of water, forming crystals that can grow astonishingly large. In Mexico's Cave of the Crystals, some have reached lengths longer than buses, clear and gleaming like frozen beams of light. Smaller crystal caves glitter like treasure chambers, with walls encrusted in quartz, gypsum, or other minerals. These environments are often too hot, too humid, or too delicate for long human exploration, making them places of both wonder and peril. Each crystal carries within it a history of the cave's chemistry, a record of water, heat, and mineral balance that allowed it to grow undisturbed for thousands upon thousands of years. In their presence, one feels as if the earth itself has been patiently weaving gemstones in the dark. Certain caves keep expanding even today. Many people think of caves as static places, silent, unchanging, forever frozen in the form they are discovered. But the truth is that caves are living landscapes, always in the process of change. In some limestone systems, water continues to drip and flow, slowly eating away at walls and ceilings while simultaneously depositing minerals elsewhere. Stalactites lengthen, stalagmites grow taller, and new passages open while old ones collapse. If you return to the same cave after thousands of years, you might find it transformed. New chambers where once there was solid rock, fresh pillars of stone connecting floor and ceiling, perhaps even a river dilated into bread. New channels. Some caves are still alive in this sense, actively reshaping themselves with every season's rains. To wander them is to witness Earth's quiet, ongoing artistry, a reminder that even what feels eternal is always in motion. Caverns can collapse to create sinkholes. Not every cave remains hidden underground. Sometimes the ceilings of caverns thin and weaken until they can no longer bear their own weight. When this happens, entire sections of ground can suddenly collapse, leaving behind vast depressions called sinkholes. Some are small and unremarkable, but others gape open like new scars in the earth, swallowing roads, forests, even whole buildings. In certain parts of the world, sinkholes expose dramatic openings into cave systems, creating entrances where none existed before. For scientists, they are windows into the hidden worlds below. For those who witness them forming, they are dramatic reminders of the fragility of the ground beneath us. What seems solid and permanent may in fact be hollowed out by water, waiting for the right moment to reveal its secret void. Sinkholes remind us that caves are not only hidden places, but sometimes sudden forces that reshape the surface itself. Some caves reach deeper than mountains are tall. When you think of mountains, you imagine great peaks rising skyward, dwarfing everything around them. Yet hidden beneath the earth are caves that extend downward even farther than some mountains rise. The deepest known caves plunge more than 6,000 feet, twisting through vertical shafts and winding tunnels. For explorers, descending into such depths feels like reversing the ascent of a mountain climb, but into darkness instead of light. At these depths, air becomes stale, temperatures shift, and rivers vanish into bottomless chasms. To reach the deepest points requires days of climbing, rappelling, and navigating underwater passages. The scale is staggering, an invisible mountain, inverted and hidden beneath our feet. Standing at the bottom of such a place, far from daylight, one cannot help but feel the immensity of Earth's interior, a reminder that the world below is just as vast as the world above. The deepest known cave plunges for over 6,000 feet. The deepest known cave on Earth, Veryovkina Cave in the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, descends more than 6,000 feet into the ground, deeper than many mountains are tall. To explore such a place is to journey into another world. Descents take teams of cavers days to accomplish, requiring ropes, diving equipment, and careful planning. At the bottom, explorers encounter rushing underground rivers, enormous vertical shafts, and complete darkness, so total it disorients the mind. The pressure of air changes with depth, and humidity condenses into slickness on every surface. Few humans have ever stood at the lowest points of these caves, and the journey is so demanding that it resembles space exploration more than ordinary climbing. Standing deep inside the Earth with miles of rock above, one cannot help but feel both the vastness of the underground and the smallness of human ambition against such hidden immensity. The longest cave system stretches for more than 400 miles. While some caves impress with their depth, others astonish with their length. Mammoth Cave in Kentucky is the longest known cave system on Earth, stretching more than 400 miles, and new passages are still being discovered. The cave is not one simple tunnel, but a labyrinth of overlapping corridors, chambers, and underground rivers. Explorers have spent decades mapping its passages, and yet parts remain unknown, like a living maze beneath the forests above. Entire ecosystems thrive within, including blind fish and delicate cave shrew. The sheer scale of Mammoth Cave is nearly impossible to imagine, a single system large enough to stretch across an entire state if it were laid out straight. Walking through even a fraction of its tunnels is humbling, for you know there are hundreds of miles continuing in the darkness around you, branching endlessly into hidden corners of the earth. Some caves have rooms larger than cathedrals. Step into certain cave chambers and you might find yourself standing in a space so vast it feels more like a cathedral than a cavern. These underground halls can stretch hundreds of feet in height and span across areas large enough to hold city blocks. The scale is breathtaking. Arched ceilings soar above, and walls vanish into shadow beyond the reach of light. Acoustic echoes can last for seconds, bouncing back in ghostly repetition. Some chambers are decorated with massive stalagmites rising like columns, while others are left as open, echoing voids. In places such as Vietnam's Son Doom Cave, chambers are so large that clouds form inside them, creating their own miniature weather. To enter such a room is to realize that nature builds on scales even grander than human imagination. It feels like stumbling into a secret palace built not by architects, but by time and stone. The ceiling of certain caves is higher than skyscrapers. Some cave ceilings soar to heights greater than skyscrapers, making them among the most awe-inspiring spaces on Earth. In Son Doom Cave, for example, parts of the ceiling rise more than 600 feet, taller than many modern towers. Standing beneath such immensity, a human feels like an insect beneath a canyon of stone. The scale distorts perception. Headlamps can barely illuminate the upper arches, leaving the sense of floating under a night sky of rock. In some of these colossal chambers, explorers have noted entire jungles growing beneath skylights where the roof collapsed, sunlight spilling into the cave to nurture trees that climb toward the unreachable ceiling. These caverns remind us that underground spaces can rival the grandeur of the tallest structures above ground, silent evidence of the power of nature's architecture compared to our most ambitious buildings. Entire underground rivers flow for miles within caves. Beneath mountains and valleys, rivers often vanish into limestone, only to reappear deep inside cave systems. These underground rivers can flow for miles, carving channels, feeding hidden lakes, and even creating waterfalls in complete darkness. Some are wide enough to carry boats, while others race through narrow passages with a roar that shakes the stone walls. Their waters are often crystal clear, untouched by surface sediments, though they can rise suddenly with rainfall, turning quiet passages into torrents. These rivers are lifelines for the creatures that inhabit caves, and they serve as vital resources for humans who rely on their springs. For explorers, they are both wondrous and dangerous, offering surreal beauty, but also risks of flooding and disorientation. To follow an underground river is to trace a secret path of water that flows unseen, shaping landscapes above and below with quiet persistence. Some caves contain lakes that have never seen the sun. Hidden in underground chambers, there are lakes that have never once been touched by sunlight. These bodies of water rest in total darkness, reflecting only the glow of headlamps or bioluminescent life. Some are so still they resemble mirrors of black glass, undisturbed for centuries. Others are alive with currents fed by hidden springs. Because they are isolated from the surface, such lakes can harbor unique forms of life found nowhere else on Earth, creatures that adapted to an environment without light, relying instead on chemical cues and heightened AE. Senses of touch. Their waters are often extraordinarily clear, filtered by rock until they seem purer than surface lakes. Standing beside one, a person is struck by the silence, the sense of encountering something both alien and eternal. These underground lakes are like secret reservoirs of time, hidden from the living world above for millennia. A single cave chamber can hold thousands of people. There are caves so immense that their chambers could comfortably hold thousands of people, as though designed to be natural amphitheaters. These vast halls are larger than sports arenas, with floors that stretch for hundreds of yards and ceilings that vanish into darkness overhead. Acoustic properties in such places can amplify a single voice into a chorus, filling the chamber with reverberations that feel almost otherworldly. In the past, some of these caverns have indeed been used for gatherings, rituals, or even modern concerts, where musicians play in the extraordinary acoustics of natural stone. To stand in a chamber that could house entire towns is to realize the scale of forces shaping the earth. These are not mere hollows in rock. They are natural cathedrals, places where the very size of the underground makes us question the limits of what nature can create. Some caves resonate like giant musical instruments. In certain caves, the shape of the chambers, the stone composition, and the flow of air combine to produce natural music. A shout may echo for many seconds, bouncing between walls in ghostly harmonies. In some chambers, dripping water strikes hollow stalactites and produces notes like a hidden xylophone. In others, rushing winds hum through narrow passages, creating a sound like an organ pipe. Explorers have even discovered stalactites and stalagmites that ring when struck, resonating like giant stone bells. These natural acoustics have inspired myths and legends, with ancient people believing the caves themselves were speaking. For scientists, they're examples of how sound waves interact with complex spaces, turning stone chambers into instruments on a scale beyond human construction. Listening to a cave sing or hum can feel like tuning into the voice of the earth itself, a reminder that even silence underground is never truly silent. Underground waterfalls cascade hidden in darkness. Beneath mountains, where rivers carve their secret paths, waterfalls sometimes thunder in the darkness. These underground cascades plunge from chamber ceilings into pools below, creating mists that swirl unseen until caught in a headlamp's beam. The sound is overwhelming, roaring in confined stone halls, echoing until it seems the cave itself is alive. Some waterfalls are only a few feet tall, while others rival surface waterfalls in scale, hidden in chambers no daylight has ever touched. Their constant spray carves smooth basins in the rock, feeds underground lakes, and creates humid microclimates for unusual life. For explorers, stumbling upon such a waterfall can feel surreal, the drama of crashing water, but in a place utterly cut off from the open world. These secret waterfalls remind us that the underground is not static or still, but alive with movement, power, and hidden beauty. The largest crystals on Earth were found in a cave. Deep beneath the desert of northern Mexico lies the Cave of the Crystals, a chamber filled with some of the largest crystals ever discovered. These selenite crystals reach lengths longer than buses and weigh as much as dozens of people. They formed over hundreds of thousands of years in a chamber of hot, mineral-rich water, growing undisturbed until they became monumental. Entering this cave feels like stepping into a fantasy world. Glittering beams of translucent stone crisscrossing a chamber that gleams like glass. Yet the cave is almost uninhabitable for humans, with temperatures soaring and humidity so high that unprotected explorers can survive only minutes. The crystals are fragile, vulnerable to changes in temperature and exposure, and so the cave remains mostly sealed, preserved as a natural wonder. These crystals are Earth's hidden jewels, grown patiently in the darkness for longer than human history. Cave air can be rich in carbon dioxide. Though caves often feel cool and refreshing, their air can hold hidden dangers. In some systems, especially where organic matter decays or groundwater interacts with limestone, the concentration of carbon dioxide rises to levels far higher than in surface air. For humans, this can cause disorientation, headaches, or even suffocation if exposure is prolonged. To animals adapted to these environments, it is simply normal. They thrive in conditions that would overwhelm us. Explorers carry detectors to monitor air quality, for the danger is invisible and silent. Carbon dioxide can pool in low areas of caves, heavier than normal air, creating invisible traps where candles will not burn. Such hazards remind us that caves are not only geological marvels, but also environments with their own chemistry, atmospheres, and unseen challenges. To breathe underground is to enter an alien environment, where even the air cannot be taken for granted. Radon gas collects deep underground. Caves often conceal another invisible hazard, radon gas. Produced naturally by the decay of uranium in rocks, radon seeps upward from the ground and accumulates in enclosed spaces. Because caves lack strong air circulation, radon can concentrate in high levels, especially in deep systems. The gas is odorless and colorless, detectable only with specialized instruments. Long-term exposure is considered dangerous, linking radon to increased health risks. For explorers, awareness and monitoring are essential. Yet, despite its dangers, radon is also scientifically fascinating. It provides clues about the geological composition of rocks, the movement of underground gases, and even earthquake activity. In this way, radon is both a silent threat and a silent storyteller, a natural trace gas carrying secrets of the Earth's inner processes. Caves remind us that not all their mysteries are visible. Some float invisibly in the air we breathe. Cave rocks can grow upward as stalagmites. Inside caves, rocks can behave in ways that seem almost alive. Stalagmites are towers of mineral that rise from the ground, formed when water drips steadily from above. Each drop leaves behind a microscopic trace of dissolved minerals, usually calcium carbonate. Over centuries, the minerals accumulate into cones, spires, or massive columns that can reach many feet in height. The growth is unimaginably slow, perhaps a fraction of an inch in a century. Yet over millions of years, stalagmites can rival trees in size. Sometimes they meet their counterparts from the ceiling, stalactites, creating mighty pillars that hold up the cavern roof like natural architecture. Each stalagmite is a diary of time, recording the chemistry of the water and even the climate conditions above ground. They are not static sculptures, but slow-growing monuments that remind us how the patient passage of time leaves its mark in stone. Mineral colors paint walls with natural art. Not all cave walls are gray or brown. Minerals seep into rock with groundwater, leaving behind vibrant stains that create natural murals. Iron produces hues of deep red and orange, while copper paints walls in shades of blue and green. Manganese can leave black streaks like calligraphy on stone. In some chambers, these mineral paints cover vast expanses, creating abstract designs as vivid as human art. The patterns fall naturally, guided by water flow, mineral concentrations, and the structure of the rock. For early humans entering these spaces, such colors may have seemed mystical, messages from the Earth itself. Modern explorers see them as geological masterpieces, as if nature had decorated its underground halls. To walk through a cave lined with color is to feel as though you've entered an ancient gallery, with walls painted not by hand, but by the patient drip and flow of mineral water. Some caves glow with phosphorescent minerals. Imagine stepping into a cave where the walls faintly glow, even after your flashlight switches off. In some places, this is exactly what happens. Certain minerals exhibit phosphorescence, the ability to absorb light and then slowly release it as a soft, lingering glow. When explorers shine bright lamps and then extinguish them, the walls continue to shimmer for moments afterward, like stars fading from view. Other caves contain fluorescent minerals, which blaze in brilliant colors when illuminated with ultraviolet light, revealing hidden blues, greens, and purples. Such phenomena transform ordinary stone into something magical, as if the cave were alive with inner fire. These glowing effects are rare, but when encountered, they remind us how minerals can store and release energy in unexpected ways. Standing in such a chamber feels like standing in a dream, surrounded by rocks that seem to breathe light of their own. Sulfuric acid can carve entire cave networks. While most caves form through the gentle work of carbonic acid in rainwater, some are carved by a far more aggressive force, sulfuric acid. This occurs when hydrogen sulfide gas from deep underground meets oxygenated groundwater. The reaction produces sulfuric acid, which eats away at limestone rapidly, creating massive cave systems. Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico is a famous example, where vast halls were etched not by dripping water alone, but by powerful chemical reactions. The walls bear evidence of this process in their unusual shapes and textures, different from water-formed caves. These sulfuric acid caves are stark reminders that chemical forces can shape landscapes as dramatically as rivers or glaciers. To walk through them is to wander through stone eaten from within, shaped by reactions invisible to the eye, yet powerful enough to hollow out mountains and leave behind some of the most astonishing underground landscapes in the world. Salt caves slowly creep like living walls. Salt caves are among the strangest underground formations. Unlike hard limestone, salt is soft and plastic, able to slowly flow and deform under pressure. This means the walls of a salt cave can actually creep, shifting like something alive. Formed where ancient seas once evaporated, leaving behind thick layers of salt, these caves twist and bend with eerie fluidity. In some places, explorers have witnessed the subtle movement of walls or the growth of salt crystals forming delicate lace-like patterns. Because salt dissolves easily, water can carve these caves quickly, and their shapes can change dramatically over short geological timescales. To enter a salt cave is to step into a living, changing environment, where the walls themselves may reshape over decades. They are fragile, otherworldly places, shimmering with crystalline surfaces that seem as if they belong on another planet. Caves can trap ancient air in rock layers. Within caves, certain rock formations act as time capsules, trapping tiny bubbles of ancient air. As minerals crystallize or sediments accumulate, pockets of atmosphere become sealed away, preserved for thousands or even millions of years. Scientists can analyze these bubbles to reconstruct what Earth's air was like long ago, its levels of oxygen, carbon dioxide, or other gases. Such records provide insights into ancient climates, helping us understand ice ages, warm periods, and the conditions in which early humans and animals lived. In this way, caves are more than geological wonders. They are scientific archives, storing tiny samples of the planet's past. Holding a stalagmite with trapped air inside is like holding a fragment of prehistory, a whisper of the sky as it once was, kept safe in stone until discovered. Magnetic minerals lurk in cave ceilings. Hidden in the rock of caves are magnetic minerals, aligned with Earth's magnetic field at the time they formed. These minerals act as natural compasses frozen in stone, preserving records of how the planet's magnetic field shifted over ages. By studying them, scientists can learn about past reversals of Earth's magnetic poles, changes in field strength, and even the geological history of the rock itself. Sometimes, these minerals can subtly influence a compass, making navigation underground even trickier. For explorers, this adds another layer of mystery. In certain passages, their instruments may not behave as expected. To stand in a cave ceiling lined with magnetite or other minerals is to stand inside a natural archive of Earth's invisible forces. It reminds us that caves are not only shaped by water and stone, but also by the deep, unseen magnetism that surrounds our planet. Caves can preserve fossilized microorganisms. Long before humans, long before even dinosaurs, tiny microorganisms flourished on Earth. In caves, conditions sometimes allow these ancient forms of life to fossilize, leaving behind microscopic records of their existence. Trapped in mineral deposits, these fossils can be extraordinarily well preserved, offering scientists glimpses into life from unimaginably distant times. Some resemble tiny filaments or spheres, structures once alive but now immortalized in stone. Studying them provides insight into the history of evolution, the resilience of life, and even how organisms might survive in extreme environments on other planets. In this way, caves are not only habitats for living creatures, but also museums of ancient, hidden life. To realize that a seemingly ordinary cave wall may contain fossils of microorganisms hundreds of millions of years old is to recognize caves as silent storytellers, holding whispers of life's earliest chapters in the darkness. Entire ecosystems thrive in eternal darkness. When you imagine life, you probably picture sunlight as its foundation. Yet caves prove that ecosystems can flourish in absolute darkness. Deep inside caverns where no ray of daylight penetrates, entire communities of creatures exist, supported by energy sources completely different from the surface world. Some depend on the nutrients carried in by water or the droppings of bats that roost in upper chambers. Others survive by feeding on microbial films that grow directly on stone, nourished by chemical reactions instead of sunlight. The diversity is astonishing. Insects, crustaceans, blind fish, worms and salamanders, all weaving together a food web in the shadows. These ecosystems are delicate and slow-moving. Every scrap of energy is precious. To step into such a place is to enter an alien world, where life shows its extraordinary ability to adapt, even when stripped of the sun that powers almost everything else on Earth. Some fish in caves have no eyes. In lightless waters beneath the ground, eyes become unnecessary, even burdensome. Over countless generations, fish living in caves have evolved to lose their vision entirely. Their eye sockets shrink or vanish, their bodies pale until they are almost translucent, and they develop extraordinary sensitivity in other senses. These fish detect vibrations through their skin, trace chemical signals in water, and navigate flawlessly in darkness where sight would be useless. The result is a creature perfectly adapted to its hidden realm, proving that evolution can subtract as well as add. Researchers find these fish invaluable in studying adaptation, genetics, and even human eye diseases, since the genes responsible for vision are still present but silenced. Watching a cave fish drift through black water, guided by invisible senses, is like glimpsing a being from another dimension, a reminder that nature reshapes life to fit even the strangest environments. Blind crustaceans evolved to navigate without light. Caves are also home to strange crustaceans, shrimp-like or crab-like creatures that long ago abandoned eyes altogether. Living in streams and pools where light never reaches, they developed elongated limbs, heightened touch, and antennae so sensitive they can map their surroundings through vibration alone. Some appear ghostly white, their shells translucent, their bodies nearly invisible in the dark waters they inhabit. Scientists have found these creatures in caves across the world, often completely isolated from one another, each population having followed its own evolutionary path toward blindness. Studying them offers rare insights into convergent evolution, different species solving the same problem: how to thrive without sight. For the crustaceans, blindness is not a limitation, but an advantage, freeing them from the burden of maintaining complex eyes in a place where they would serve no purpose. In their quiet way, they are masters of the hidden world. Certain cave bats navigate using echolocation. When night falls, caves often come alive with the fluttering wings of bats. For many species, caves provide ideal roosts, safe, dark, and stable in temperature. But how do they navigate the absolute darkness both within and beyond the cave? The answer is echolocation, one of nature's most extraordinary tools. Bats emit high-frequency calls far above the range of human hearing, and then listen for the echoes that bounce back. From these reflections, they build a mental map of their surroundings, precise enough to catch tiny insects in midair. To see bats sweep out of a cave at dusk, thousands at once, is to witness the power of echolocation in motion. Their reliance on sound instead of light mirrors the adaptations of blind fish and crustaceans, showing that in caves, survival often depends not on eyes, but on the ability to sense in other remarkable ways. Glowworms illuminate underground caverns. Step into some caves, and you may see the ceilings sparkle as though a constellation had fallen underground. This magic comes from glowworms, insect larvae that emit light through bioluminescence. They dangle sticky threads from the ceilings and use their blue-green glow to lure unsuspecting prey. In the pitch dark of a cave, insects are drawn to the faint shimmer, mistaking it for moonlight or open sky. When they drift toward the glow, they become ensnared in the threads, feeding the waiting glowworm. Entire caverns in New Zealand, Australia, and other regions glitter with these living lights, transforming blackness into a galaxy of stars. For early explorers, the sight was bewildering and enchanting, as if the caves themselves contained skies of their own. To lie beneath a glowworm ceiling is to drift between Earth and cosmos, watching the patient lights that burn quietly in eternal night. Albino salamanders survive in subterranean streams. In European caves, one of the most remarkable creatures is the ohm, a pale, eyeless salamander that spends its entire life underground. With its translucent skin and slender body, it looks almost ghostly, as though carved from wax. Ohms live in cold, subterranean streams, where food is scarce and light non-existent. They have adapted by slowing their metabolism to extraordinary levels. An ohm can go years without eating, surviving patiently on the faintest trace of nourishment carried by water. They can live astonishingly long lives, often more than a century, a rarity among amphibians. Legends once described them as baby dragons washed out of the underworld, and indeed, their strange form feels mythical. Yet they are real, fragile creatures, perfectly suited to their hidden realm. To see an ohm drift through a cave stream is to glimpse life at its most ethereal, a pale secret of the underground world. Caves can host microbes that eat rock. Beneath the earth, far from sunlight, microbes thrive in ways that seem almost alien. Some of the tiniest cave dwellers are bacteria that feed directly on rock. By metabolizing iron, sulfur, or other minerals, they extract energy from the very walls of their environment. These microbes form delicate mats and films, sometimes creating unusual formations of their own, altering the chemistry of caves as they go. For scientists, they are a treasure, clues to how life can persist in extreme conditions, perhaps even resembling life on other planets. Their existence suggests that life does not always need the sun, but can instead draw sustenance from chemistry alone. To imagine entire communities of invisible organisms quietly eating stone in eternal darkness is to realize how inventive and resilient life truly is. The walls around us may not be lifeless at all, but alive with unseen microbial activity. Some cave organisms live nowhere else on Earth. Caves often serve as isolated worlds, cut off from the surface for millions of years. In such seclusion, evolution takes its own unique paths, creating species found in no other habitat. Entire lineages of fish, insects, spiders, and amphibians exist solely within specific cave systems. Some are so restricted that they live only in a single chamber of a single cave, making them among the rarest creatures on Earth. Their adaptations are finely tuned to darkness, heightened senses, slow metabolisms, and fragile bodies perfectly suited to their quiet ecosystems. But this also makes them vulnerable. A single disturbance, pollution, tourism, or even an introduced predator could erase an entire species forever. These cave endemics remind us of how precious and delicate life can be. They are proof that Earth still holds undiscovered biodiversity, hidden away in underground realms where evolution has been free to wander in solitude. Bacteria deep in caves may hold medical secrets. In 2015, scientists made an astonishing discovery in a remote cave: bacteria with resistance to nearly every antibiotic known. These microbes had never encountered humans, yet they carried defense systems developed over millions of years of competition with other microorganisms. Such findings suggest that caves may harbor untapped resources for medicine, including entirely new antibiotics. The isolated, extreme conditions of caves push bacteria to evolve unique chemicals for survival, some of which may one day help us fight resistant infections. Researchers now explore caves not only for their geological wonders, but also for their biomedical treasures. To think that the cure for future diseases might be hidden in the walls of a cave is awe-inspiring. What seems like barren stone may be a library of molecular secrets, waiting patiently in the dark until discovered by science. Spiders in caves can spin webs stretching for yards. In the shadows of cave ceilings, certain spiders weave webs so immense they stretch for yards across chambers. Unlike the delicate orbs spun in gardens, these webs are sprawling networks, adapted to catch the few insects that drift or crawl into the darkness. Some cave spiders have adapted long, spindly legs and pale coloration, perfectly suited to their hidden homes. Their webs hang like curtains of silk, often unnoticed until light catches the strands. These spiders live patient lives, conserving energy in a place where food arrives only rarely. For humans, stumbling upon such a web can be startling, as if the darkness itself had been netted. Yet these webs are essential for the ecosystem, recycling nutrients and supporting the flow of life in the cave. They remind us that even in the deepest stillness, hunters wait quietly, their snares strung across the pathways of the underground. The oldest known cave paintings are tens of thousands of years old. Long before written language, humans decorated cave walls with art. Some of the oldest known paintings found in Europe and Asia date back more than 40,000 years. These works depict animals, hunting scenes, abstract shapes and hand stencils, created with natural pigments blown or painted onto stone. To stand before them is to connect directly with ancient minds, to see the visions and expressions of people who lived in a world utterly different from ours. The darkness preserved their colors, protecting them from weather and time. Archaeologists debate the purpose of the paintings. Were they ritual, storytelling, teaching tools, or expressions of wonder? Whatever their meaning, they reveal that creativity has always been a part of humanity. The fact that some of our earliest surviving art exists underground, in hidden places, suggests caves were seen not just as shelters, but as sacred canvases of imagination. Ancient humans used caves as homes and shelters. For tens of thousands of years, caves offered humans one of the safest refuges on Earth. They provided shelter from storms, predators, and the harshness of climate. Archaeological digs reveal hearths, tools, and bedding within cave systems where families once lived and thrived. The steady temperatures of caves, cooler in summer and warmer in winter, made them natural sanctuaries. Some caves show layers of habitation, with traces of communities returning again and again over millennia. In these spaces, humans painted walls, cooked meals, and raised children, leaving behind echoes of daily life. Walking into such a cave today, you may step on soil packed by countless generations, where smoke once curled into the air and laughter once filled the stone halls. Caves were not just shelters of necessity, but cradles of culture, the places where humanity's earliest chapters unfolded in firelight and shadow. Bones of extinct animals have been found in caves. Caves act as natural traps and time capsules, preserving bones for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Within their cool, protected environments, skeletons of extinct animals have been discovered: giant cave bears, saber-toothed cats, mammoths, and more. Sometimes the bones are the result of animals seeking shelter. Other times they represent unlucky creatures that fell into pits or were hunted by humans. The discoveries provide scientists with priceless glimpses into ecosystems long gone. In some cases, bones retain traces of DNA, allowing researchers to reconstruct genetic histories and even attempt to resurrect knowledge of vanished species. Walking into a cave littered with fossil bones is like opening a natural museum, untouched and undisturbed, curated by the earth itself. These remains remind us that caves hold not just the secrets of stone, but the stories of the creatures that once roamed the surface above. Caves preserved the remains of early Neanderthals. Some of the most important discoveries about our evolutionary relatives, the Neanderthals, have come from caves. Their bones, tools, and traces of fire have been found in chambers where they once sought shelter. In Shanidar cave in Iraq, archaeologists uncovered Neanderthal skeletons that suggest complex social behaviors, evidence that individuals cared for the injured and perhaps even performed burial. Rituals. Other caves across Europe hold bones bearing cut marks, showing how Neanderthals prepared food, crafted tools, and survived in Ice Age climates. The cool, stable conditions of caves preserved these remains far better than the open air ever could. Because of this, caves are windows into human prehistory, offering direct evidence of how our close cousins lived, struggled, and thrived. Standing inside one, you may be in the very place where Neanderthals once gathered around fire, their shadows flickering against stone walls. Some caves served as ancient burial sites. For many ancient cultures, caves were more than shelters. They were gateways to the afterlife. Archaeologists have discovered burial sites deep underground, where bodies were carefully placed with offerings of tools, pottery, or ornaments. The darkness and permanence of caves seemed to connect the living to the spiritual world, making them sacred resting places. Some burials are so well preserved that details of clothing, ornaments, or even skin remain, offering an intimate look into lives lived thousands of years ago. These discoveries tell us that caves were not just physical refuges, but spiritual landscapes, tied to beliefs about death and rebirth. The silence of such chambers feels profound, as though the air itself remembers the ceremonies performed there. To step into a cave that once held the dead is to step into humanity's oldest rituals, echoes of grief, reverence, and the eternal search for meaning. Hidden treasures have been stashed in caverns. Throughout history, caves have also served as hiding places. From bandits and rebels to kings and priests, countless people have used their dark recesses to protect treasures, relics, and valuables. Ancient hoards of gold, ceremonial objects, and even manuscripts have been uncovered within. The Dead Sea Scrolls, some of the most important texts in religious history, were hidden in caves for centuries before their rediscovery in the 20th century. Legends abound of secret treasures still concealed in caverns, their locations lost to time. For archaeologists, these discoveries are invaluable, preserving items that might otherwise have decayed or been destroyed. For storytellers, they fuel endless tales of adventure and mystery. To imagine a cave concealing treasures for generations is to realize that underground spaces have always been entwined with human imagination, not just as natural wonders, but as secret vaults of history and myth. Religious shrines were built in underground chambers. Across cultures and continents, caves have been revered as sacred spaces. Some became natural temples, where shrines were carved into stone walls and altars erected in shadowed chambers. The cool silence and echoing grandeur of caves made them perfect for worship and meditation, removed from the distractions of the world above. In India, elaborate rock-cut temples stretched deep into cliffs, while in Europe, chapels and monasteries were founded within cavern systems. Pilgrims descended into darkness seeking connection with the divine, carrying torches that flickered against holy statues. Even today, some caves remain active places of worship, blending geology and spirituality into timeless sanctuaries. Standing inside such a place, one feels both the vastness of nature and the presence of human devotion layered over it. These underground shrines are reminders that caves have always been more than empty spaces. They are sanctuaries of the human spirit. Cave walls preserve handprints from long ago. Among the most haunting images in caves are the outlines of human hands, pressed or painted onto walls tens of thousands of years ago. These prints are often created by blowing pigment around a hand placed against stone, leaving behind a negative silhouette. Some are tiny, belonging to children, others are large, clearly made by adults. Together, they form a chorus of presence, echoes of people long gone, reaching across time. Scientists debate their meaning. Were they signatures, markers of belonging, or spiritual gestures? Whatever the intent, they connect us directly with ancient individuals. To place your hand near such a print is to feel a bridge to prehistory, to realize that someone once stood there in the flicker of firelight, leaving a trace of themselves for reasons we may never fully understand. The walls of caves thus become archives of human identity and memory. Charcoal fires once lit the darkness for prehistoric artists. The brilliant cave paintings that survive today were not made in silence and ease. They were created by artists working in darkness. Their only light, the flames of burning wood. Archaeologists have found charcoal remains and soot marks on cave ceilings, evidence of fires lit to push back the blackness. These fires would have crackled and smoked, their flickering glow casting shifting shadows over the walls. Imagine an artist crouching in that uncertain light, grinding pigments, carefully brushing or blowing paint onto stone, while smoke filled the chamber. The dance of firelight may even have been intentional, making the painted animals appear to move in the shadows. The survival of charcoal itself, fragile, blackened remnants of wood burned tens of thousands of years ago, is astonishing. These ashes connect us to the creative spark of early humans who carried flame into the Earth's hidden halls. Caves have preserved ancient tools in perfect condition. Caves, with their stable temperatures and protective darkness, often act as natural museums. Archaeologists have uncovered tools made of stone, bone, and even wood that survived for tens of thousands of years in near-perfect condition. In some cases, these tools still bear the wear marks of hands that used them, scrapers, blades, hammers, and ornaments lying as though their owners had only just set them down. Because caves shield artifacts from rain, wind, and sunlight, they preserve details that would otherwise be lost. Such discoveries have transformed our understanding of early technology and daily life, showing us how people shaped, carried, and relied upon these objects. Holding a tool from a cave is like shaking hands with prehistory, a direct, physical connection to an ancestor whose life was lived in shadows and firelight, their story carried forward by the enduring patience of stone. Some cave pearls grow larger than golf balls. Inside certain caves, something astonishing forms in pools of mineral-rich water, cave pearls. Unlike the pearls of oysters, these are entirely geological. They begin when a tiny grain of sand or fragment of rock becomes coated with calcium carbonate, deposited layer by layer as water drips and swirls around it. Over centuries, the constant motion keeps the pearl from attaching to the floor, allowing it to grow into a smooth, rounded sphere. Most are small, but in rare cases, they can grow larger than golf balls, gleaming like polished treasures resting quietly in shallow pools. Each pearl is unique, shaped by the rhythms of dripping water and the chemistry of its cave. The early explorers, stumbling upon these natural jewels, must have felt magical, as though the earth had hidden a secret trove beneath the ground. They remind us that beauty can grow patiently in silence, one drop at a time. The world's largest stalactite is over 200 feet long. In Oman's Majlis al-Jinn cave, explorers discovered a stalactite so immense it stretches more than 200 feet from the ceiling. Imagine a stone icicle longer than a skyscraper is tall, hanging silently in the darkness. It formed through the same patient process as all stalactites, water seeping through cracks, leaving behind tiny traces of calcium carbonate that built up over thousands of years. The scale, however, is breathtaking. To stand beneath it is to feel both awe and humility, for you are gazing at a structure grown not by human hands, but by geological time. Its weight is staggering, and yet it remains suspended, testimony to the slow engineering of nature. Such formations are fragile. One break, one shift, and millennia of growth could vanish. That it survives at all feels miraculous, a reminder of the delicate balance that shapes our planet's underground wonders. Underground salt mines contain entire caverns. Salt mines are not just tunnels carved by humans. They often open into caverns vast enough to rival natural caves. Formed by the excavation of ancient deposits left by evaporated seas, these spaces shimmer with crystalline walls. Light reflects off surfaces in dazzling patterns, creating halls of sparkling white and translucent grey. Some salt caverns are so large that chapels, theatres, and even underground lakes have been built within them. The Wieliczka salt mine in Poland, for example, contains an entire cathedral carved out of salt, complete with sculptures and chandeliers. The rock itself is malleable, allowing artisans to shape it like stone, yet revealing its crystalline beauty. Exploring such places feels like entering a hidden palace made entirely of salt. Though human-made, these caverns echo with the same sense of wonder as natural caves, demonstrating how the Earth's resources and human imagination can combine to create surreal underground worlds. Certain ice caves hold ice that is thousands of years old. In some caves, ice never melts, preserved year after year in frozen chambers that serve as time capsules of past climates. Layers of ice within these caves can be thousands of years old, each season leaving behind a new sheet that stacks upon the last. Scientists drill cores from this ancient ice to read its history, analyzing trapped air bubbles that reveal how Earth's atmosphere has changed across millennia. For explorers, stepping into such a cave is like entering a freezer of deep time. The walls glow in shades of blue, light filtered through compacted ice that has survived since before recorded history. Some caves preserve evidence of past droughts, volcanic eruptions, and even human activities frozen into their layers. These icy archives remind us that caves do more than inspire wonder. They preserve knowledge, holding records of Earth's story in crystalline silence. The tallest known stalagmite reaches over 200 feet. Rising from the floor of a cavern in China's Xianren Dome, the tallest known stalagmite soars more than 200 feet upward. It looks less like a mineral deposit and more like a stone skyscraper built by unseen architects. This towering formation was created by countless drops of water over hundreds of thousands of years, each leaving behind a minuscule trace of mineral. Over time, these tiny additions built a monument rivaling the tallest human structures of antiquity. The stalagmite stands as proof of nature's patient artistry, a sculpture grown in complete darkness. Its sheer size challenges imagination, a tower hidden underground, unseen by the world above for untold ages. To stand at its base is to feel dwarfed, not only by the stone, but by the passage of time itself, a reminder that the Earth's slow rhythms create marvels beyond anything we might rush to construct. A cave in Mexico holds crystals as long as buses. Deep beneath Chihuahua, Mexico, lies Naka's Cave of the Crystals, home to the largest crystals ever discovered. These immense selenite formations stretch more than 30 feet long, rivaling buses in size, and weigh many tons. They grew in a chamber once filled with hot, mineral-rich water, where conditions remained stable for hundreds of thousands of years. The heat and humidity required to nurture such growth make the cave nearly impossible for humans to endure. Temperatures soar above 100 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity approaches 100%. Explorers must wear protective suits and carry ice-cooled air to survive only minutes at a time. Yet within this hostile environment stands one of Earth's most dazzling wonders, a glittering forest of colossal crystals. They are fragile, radiant, and utterly unique, shimmering like frozen beams of light. To behold them is to witness the grandeur of geological patience on a cosmic scale. The largest underwater cave system stretches for hundreds of miles. In the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, explorers uncovered the world's largest underwater cave system, a sprawling network of flooded tunnels stretching for hundreds of miles. Known as the Sac-Acton system, it connects multiple sinkholes, called similtes, forming a labyrinth beneath the jungle. Divers navigating its passageways glide through corridors lined with stalactites, ancient formations now submerged. These waters preserve fossils of extinct animals, pottery from ancient civilizations, and even human remains, turning exploration into both an adventure and an archaeological dig. For divers, the experience is both thrilling and perilous. The clarity of the water creates an illusion of endless space, while the twisting passages demand careful navigation. This hidden world beneath the surface is still being mapped, and each discovery expands our sense of how vast and interconnected Earth's underground truly is. It is a reminder that beneath our feet, entire realms remain unseen. A cave in Vietnam has its own weather system. Son Jong Cave in Vietnam is so enormous that it generates its own microclimate. Within its chambers, clouds form, mist drifts through the air, and entire jungles thrive under skylights, where the ceiling collapsed long ago. The cave's scale is staggering. Its largest passage is wide enough to fit a Boeing airplane, and its ceilings soar higher than skyscrapers. Within this immense space, temperature and humidity interact to create weather patterns independent of the surface. Visitors have reported rain falling inside the cave and fog banks rolling across its underground forests. The effect is surreal. an ecosystem complete with trees, rivers, and clouds, all hidden within stone. Sonjong demonstrates that caves are not passive voids but dynamic worlds, capable of sustaining entire environments within. To walk here is to experience the earth dreaming beneath itself, a world within a world, breathing its own hidden atmosphere. The biggest cave chamber could hold an entire city block. Some underground chambers are so vast, they defy imagination. The Sarawak Chamber in Malaysia is one such place, a single room so large it could fit an entire city block inside. Its floor stretches for nearly 2,000 feet, and the ceiling arches more than 600 feet above. To enter the chamber is to step into a void of staggering proportions, where light from headlamps barely touches the walls. The air feels endless, as though you were standing outdoors at night rather than underground. Few human eyes have seen the chamber's full expanse, and exploring it remains a daunting task. Its very existence is humbling, a reminder that Earth contains spaces larger than the grandest human cathedrals, hidden quietly beneath mountains. Standing there, surrounded by stone that has endured for millions of years, one cannot help but feel as small as an ant within a vast, silent cosmos. Some caves are so huge they create their own clouds. In the most colossal caverns, conditions of humidity, airflow, and temperature can combine to produce something extraordinary: clouds. Warm air rising from underground rivers meets cooler stone ceilings, causing vapor to condense into mist that drifts like ghostly veils. These clouds may gather and disperse, rolling slowly across chambers larger than football fields. In some cases, droplets fall as misty rain, nourishing pockets of moss or even miniature forests that grow beneath collapsed skylights. To stand inside such a cave is to feel as though you are walking beneath the sky itself. Only this sky is trapped within stone walls. The phenomenon underscores the incredible scale of these caverns, where nature recreates entire weather systems underground. It blurs the boundary between surface and subterranean, reminding us that the forces shaping Earth's climate are not confined to open air, but can manifest in the hidden depths as well. Cave diving is among the most dangerous sports. Cave diving is often called one of the most dangerous forms of exploration. Divers enter flooded cave systems where narrow passages twist unpredictably, visibility can drop to nothing in stirred silt, and exits may be miles away. The environment allows no margin for error. A snapped line, failed light, or wrong turn can prove fatal. Despite these risks, cave divers are drawn by the allure of places no one else has ever seen. They map submerged tunnels, discover hidden chambers, and uncover fossils preserved in crystal-clear water. Specialized training, redundant equipment, and strict safety protocols are essential, yet even the most experienced divers face peril. The combination of water, darkness, and labyrinthine passages creates challenges that push human limits. To dive into a cave is to accept those risks in pursuit of discovery, a modern equivalent of venturing into space, only in the alien world beneath our feet. Explorers have drowned in underground rivers. The beauty of underground rivers conceals deadly dangers. Flowing swiftly through hidden channels, they can surge without warning when rain falls miles away. Explorers caught in rising waters may find passages that were dry on entry suddenly flooded, leaving no escape. Even skilled divers and cavers have lost their lives in these unpredictable conditions, swept away in currents that roar through stone corridors. For those who study caves, these tragedies are sobering reminders that the underground is not a passive environment, but a living, shifting system. Yet the risks have not deterred exploration. With careful planning, modern technology, and growing experience, researchers continue to map and study these rivers, revealing how water shapes entire landscapes from below. The stories of those lost are part of the underground's history, reminding us that discovery often comes with great cost and that nature always demands respect. Squeezing through tight passages is called spelunking. The word spelunking comes from the Latin spelunca, meaning cave, and it has come to describe the adventurous act of exploring narrow underground passages. Many caves are not grand halls or towering chambers, but constricted tunnels that force explorers to crawl, twist, and squeeze through gaps barely wider than their bodies. For some, this is the ultimate test of courage, pressing forward into darkness with solid stone pressing close on every side. The sensation is claustrophobic, yet also thrilling. Each tight passage may open into a hidden room, a new gallery, or a sparkling formation unseen by human eyes. Spelunkers must rely on patience, careful breathing, and trust in their companions, for panic can be as dangerous as physical obstacles. To those who embrace it, spelunking is a meditative act, a slow and careful dialogue with stone, moving inch by inch through the veins of the earth. Entire expeditions have been lost in cave systems. The complexity of cave systems has trapped more than a few explorers in history. With endless branching tunnels, sudden drops, and mazes of passages, it is all too easy to become disoriented. Entire expeditions have vanished for days, and in some tragic cases, forever. Stories tell of explorers wandering in circles, their lights fading as they searched for a way back. Even modern technology does not eliminate the danger. Without strict mapping and rope systems, getting lost remains a real risk. For this reason, cave explorers have a saying, "Always know the way out." Each turn is marked, each passage noted, because one wrong choice can lead to hours of confusion. The idea of becoming lost beneath miles of rock, with no sunlight and no clear direction, is both terrifying and humbling. It emphasizes the immense power and mystery of caves, environments that demand respect. Underground rescues can take days or weeks. When accidents happen underground, rescue efforts are among the most difficult in the world. Narrow passages, flooded chambers, and sheer drops mean that bringing injured or stranded explorers back to the surface is slow, painstaking work. Teams of rescuers may spend days or even weeks maneuvering stretchers through tight squeezes, pumping out water, or laying miles of rope. Entire communities often mobilize, with specialists from across the globe joining forces to save lives. The famous Thai cave rescue of 2018 showed the immense challenges. Divers navigated flooded tunnels to save a youth soccer team trapped for more than 2 weeks. Success required coordination, innovation, and extraordinary bravery. These rescues remind us that caves are both perilous and profound, places where human determination is tested to its limits, where triumph comes not only from exploration, but also from compassion, cooperation in the face of danger. Caves can flood in minutes during heavy rains. A cave that seems dry and welcoming can become deadly with little warning. Because many caves connect directly to surface rivers and drainage systems, a sudden storm miles away can send torrents of water rushing underground. Passages that explorers entered easily may flood in minutes, cutting off exits and turning chambers into traps. The danger is greatest in limestone regions with porous rock, where rainfall disappears quickly into the ground, funneled directly into caves. Flash floods underground are terrifying. The roar of water echoes before the flood arrives, and then black water surges in with unstoppable force. For this reason, cavers always check weather forecasts before entering and are trained to recognize signs of rising water. These floods are reminders that caves are living systems, tied directly to the rhythms of the surface world, and that even in hidden places, the weather above still rules. Navigating in total darkness requires special training. Caves are environments of perfect darkness, deeper than the darkest night. Without light, a person cannot see even their own hand inches away. Navigating such spaces requires not just artificial light, but training in how to use it. Explorers carry multiple lamps, backups for their backups, ensuring they are never left blind. They also practice moving slowly, feeling the walls, and using ropes to maintain orientation. Even with light, the strangeness of total darkness can disorient the mind, blurring a sense of time and distance. In experiments, people deprived of light often lose track of hours, their inner clocks drifting. For those who train to navigate caves, the darkness becomes a companion rather than a threat. It teaches patience, focus, and respect. Moving through a cave is not simply physical travel, but also a journey into an environment that challenges human senses at their core. Some passages are so narrow, explorers must exhale to fit. In some of the tightest cave passages, explorers face obstacles so constricted that even breathing feels like a luxury. To squeeze through, they exhale fully, collapsing their chest just enough to slide an inch forward. These crawls can last for feet at a time, stone pressing on every side, with no room to turn around. The experience is claustrophobic and mentally demanding, requiring calmness and complete trust in one's body. Panic is dangerous, for it can trap a person in the very space they are trying to pass through. Yet for cavers, these narrow squeezes are part of the path toward greater wonders, hidden chambers, sparkling formations, or new passages beyond. The determination to push through such challenges reflects humanity's endless drive to explore. Even when the Earth presses tightly around us, curiosity keeps us moving forward, breath by careful breath, into the mysteries beyond. Cave mapping can take decades. Unlike mountains or forests, caves cannot be easily surveyed from above. Every passage, chamber, and shaft must be mapped by hand. Explorers crawling, climbing, and diving to measure each twist and turn. For large systems like Mammoth Cave or Saskatoon, mapping is an effort that takes decades, with new discoveries constantly expanding the known boundaries. Teams painstakingly record distances, angles, and elevations, then compile them into detailed maps that may stretch across entire walls. These maps are vital, not just for exploration, but also for safety, science, and conservation. They reveal how water flows underground, how passages connect, and where new entrances might lie. Yet mapping is never finished. Caves are dynamic, and the possibility of new passages always lingers. To devote years to such work is to accept that the underground resists being fully known, that mystery will always remain beneath the lines on paper. Robots have been sent to explore where humans cannot go. Some parts of caves are simply too dangerous for humans, flooded tunnels too tight for divers, shafts too deep to descend, or chambers filled with toxic gases. To reach these places, scientists have turned to robots. Remotely operated vehicles swim through submerged corridors, mapping with sonar and capturing video in places no human has ever entered. Crawling robots equipped with sensors and cameras inch along unstable passages, revealing hidden formations or fossils. In recent years, cave exploring robots have even been tested as prototypes for missions to other planets, since lava tubes on Mars or the Moon may one day serve as shelters for astronauts. Sending a robot into the darkness is a reminder that exploration does not always require human presence. Sometimes machines extend our senses into realms too hostile for us, showing that even the most unreachable corners of Earth can be touched by curiosity and ingenuity. Some caves stay the same temperature year-round. One of the most remarkable qualities of many caves is their stability. Unlike the surface world, where temperatures swing with seasons, weather, and day and night, caves often remain the same temperature year-round. In many limestone systems, this steady climate reflects the average annual temperature of the region above. This means a cave in a temperate area may hover around 50 to 60 degrees, regardless of whether snow falls or summer heat scorches the land outside. Such stability made caves attractive shelters for humans and animals alike throughout history. For scientists, this constancy provides perfect conditions for preserving fossils, artifacts, and delicate mineral formations. Entering such a cave feels like stepping into a timeless realm, immune to the cycles of the outside world. The air is calm, cool, and unchanging, as though the cave itself breathes in harmony with the deeper rhythms of the earth, rather than fleeting seasons. Caves can be colder than the world above. Not all caves are mild and steady. In some places, cold air sinks and becomes trapped, turning chambers into natural freezers. These cold trap caves can harbor snow and ice long after the world outside has warmed, creating hidden winter landscapes in the heart of summer. Archaeologists have even uncovered artifacts preserved in such caves, perfectly frozen for centuries. For early humans, these places would have seemed mysterious, eternal sources of chill and ice in an otherwise temperate land. The air inside is often crisp, carrying the bite of frost even in midsummer. Animals sometimes used these caves to escape heat, while explorers found them treacherous, with icy floors and dangerously cold streams. To step into one is to feel an immediate shift, as if you've walked into another season altogether. Such caves remind us that the underground is not always sheltered warmth, but also holds the power of cold. Others are hotter than a sauna. At the other extreme, some caves are oppressively hot, hotter even than many deserts. In geothermal regions or near volcanic activity, cave air can climb above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, combined with sweltering humidity. These steam-filled chambers are suffocating to enter, with moisture condensing on the skin and lungs laboring against the heavy air. In Mexico's Cave of the Crystals, the heat is so intense that explorers must wear protective cooling suits to survive even a short visit. Yet such harsh conditions also allow for extraordinary formations, like the giant selenite crystals grown over hundreds of thousands of years. Hot caves reveal how diverse underground environments can be. Not all are cool refuges, but some are harsh crucibles of heat and pressure. Standing in one is to feel the Earth's inner fire, a reminder that beneath the calm surface, energy and heat still surge in hidden places. Underground airflows create whispering sounds. Caves are never completely silent. Shifts in air pressure between chambers and the surface can create steady breezes that flow through narrow passages, sometimes with eerie results. In certain caves, this airflow produces whispering sounds, faint hisses, sighs, or low moans that echo through the darkness. Ancient people often interpreted these sounds as voices of spirits or gods, reinforcing caves' role as sacred or mysterious places. To scientists, these breezes provide valuable information about hidden connections within cave systems, revealing unseen tunnels and chambers. The movement of air also helps regulate temperature and humidity inside, subtly shaping the cave's environment. Standing in such a passage, with unseen air brushing past and carrying ghostly murmurs, is to be reminded that caves are alive with motion. Even in darkness they breathe, and their whispers are the language of stone, air, and the endless patience of geological time. Echoes in caverns can last for seconds. One of the most enchanting features of large caves is their acoustics. In vast chambers, Echoes can linger for astonishing lengths of time, sometimes several seconds after a sound is made. A single shout may return as a chorus, bouncing back and forth in ghostly repetitions that blur into music. Ancient cultures may have used these effects deliberately, holding rituals in echoing halls where voices seem to multiply and deepen. Modern musicians have experimented as well, performing concerts inside caverns where the natural resonance creates ethereal soundscapes. The size, shape, and mineral surfaces of the chamber all influence the effect, turning some caves into natural amphitheaters. To clap your hands and hear the sound roll away into darkness, only to return in fading waves, is to feel surrounded by invisible presences. It is a reminder that caves are not only visual wonders, but also resonant instruments of the earth. Cave walls can sweat with condensation. Step into a humid cave, and you may notice droplets glistening on the walls, forming slowly and then running down in tiny rivulets. This phenomenon, often called sweating, is condensation, moisture from the cave air collecting on cooler rock surfaces. In some caves, it happens so abundantly that walls appear to be weeping, shimmering with water in the glow of a headlamp. These droplets provide critical moisture for cave life, feeding tiny ecosystems of microbes, mosses, or even fungi. They also influence mineral formations, helping build flowstones, draperies, and glistening curtains of calcite. To early visitors, sweating walls may have seemed alive, as though the cave itself were breathing. In truth, they are part of the cave's constant exchange with air and water. Watching them glisten is a reminder of how caves are never truly static, but always in motion, shifting quietly with the hidden rhythms of nature. Certain caverns drip with sulfuric smells. Not all caves smell clean or neutral. In some, particularly those formed by chemical processes involving sulfur, the air is heavy with acrid, egg-like odors. These smells come from hydrogen sulfide gas, seeping from the ground or produced by microbes living in the stone. While unpleasant to humans, this chemistry is key to the cave's very existence. In places like Carlsbad Caverns, sulfuric acid reactions carved out vast underground spaces, and today, the lingering scent of sulfur is a reminder of that hidden power. Some cave-dwelling microbes thrive on these gases, feeding directly on sulfur compounds in an ecosystem entirely independent of sunlight. For explorers, the smell can be disorienting, filling passages with an invisible sense of strangeness. It is as though the cave itself breathes a reminder of the deep chemical processes that shape the earth, smells carried upward from the unseen engines of geology. Some ice caves glitter with blue light. In certain ice caves, sunlight filtering through thick layers of frozen walls transforms the interior into glowing shades of blue. The effect occurs because ice absorbs longer wavelengths of light, reds and yellows, while scattering shorter blue wavelengths back into view. The result is an ethereal glow, turning the cave into a chamber of sapphire light. Standing inside such a place feels like entering a crystal palace, where ceilings shine with jewel-like radiance. The effect is strongest when ice is pure and compact, often in glaciers or volcanic ice caves. For photographers and explorers, these are some of the most breathtaking sights on Earth, fragile and fleeting, changing with the seasons. The beauty is temporary, for as glaciers shift and melt, the caves may collapse or vanish entirely. To experience the luminous blue light of an ice cave is to step briefly into a dream of frozen time. Others glow green with algae. While many caves are too dark for photosynthesis, some near entrances or under skylights host unexpected greenery. Moisture and faint rays of light allow algae to grow on stone surfaces, covering walls and pools with a luminous green sheen. In some cases, this growth forms mats that shimmer under light, making the cave glow as though lit from within. Early explorers sometimes mistook such sites for magical forces, unaware that the glow came from humble plants. Algae in caves can also influence the chemistry of their environment, adding oxygen and organic matter to ecosystems usually deprived of sunlight. For visitors, the effect is striking, a living color blooming in places otherwise dominated by grays and browns. These green glows show that even in the world of darkness, life finds a way to bloom, stretching toward even the faintest traces of light in hidden corners of the earth. Water in caves can be crystal clear. Underground pools and rivers often hold water of astonishing clarity. Filtered through layers of stone, purified drop by drop, it emerges free of sediment, appearing as liquid glass. In some caves, explorers have been startled to find pools so clear that they cannot tell where air ends and water begins, accidentally stepping into depths that seemed like solid floor. Such purity creates surreal reflections, turning ceilings into mirrored skies. The clarity also preserves fossils, minerals, and delicate formations undisturbed for centuries. For cave life, these waters are lifelines, their stability allowing unique ecosystems to flourish. Scientists studying them often discover microbes or tiny creatures found nowhere else. To gaze into a crystal-clear cave pool is to glimpse a world that feels untouched and timeless. Water distilled by the earth's slow patience, waiting in silence beneath the ground for anyone brave enough to find it. Some caves remain unexplored even today. Despite centuries of exploration, countless caves remain undiscovered or only partially mapped. Remote mountain ranges, dense jungles, and icy polar regions conceal entrances that no one has yet stumbled upon. Even known systems often stretch far beyond the reach of human exploration, with passages too narrow, too flooded, or too unstable to access. Each year, explorers push a little farther, sometimes adding miles to known systems, sometimes uncovering entirely new caves. The realization that so much remains hidden beneath our feet is humbling. In an age where satellites scan the Earth's surface and maps seem complete, caves remind us that mystery still thrives. There are still realms of silence and shadow that belong only to the patient rhythms of geology, waiting quietly for discovery. To think that entire worlds lie unseen just below our everyday landscapes is a thrilling reminder of the planet's endless depth. Caves hide fossils of ancient sea creatures. In limestone caves especially, fossils of marine life are often found embedded in the walls. This is because limestone itself was formed from ancient seabeds, built from the remains of coral, shells, and tiny plankton compressed over millions of years. As caves cut through this rock, they reveal frozen snapshots of prehistoric oceans, seashells, corals, and even fish, preserved in stone deep within mountains. To walk through such a cave is to walk across the floor of the vanished ocean, surrounded by the remains of creatures that swam in waters long gone. These fossils are not just beautiful, they are vital to understanding Earth's history, proof that today's dry lands were once covered by ancient seas. Each fossil in a cave wall is a reminder of time's immensity, the transformation of oceans into mountains, and the patience of geology sculpting the Earth's endless story. Stalagmites record ancient climate changes. Stalagmites are not only beautiful formations, they are also archives of Earth's past. As mineral-rich water drips onto the cave floor, it leaves behind thin layers of calcite that slowly build upward. Trapped within these layers are chemical signatures that reflect rainfall, temperature, and even atmospheric conditions above ground. By analyzing them, scientists can reconstruct climate patterns stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. This means stalagmites can tell us when monsoons were strong or weak, when drought struck, or when glaciers advanced and retreated. They are silent storytellers, recording data year by year with incredible precision. For humans concerned with the future, stalagmites offer lessons from the past, showing how climates shift naturally over time. To stand beside one is to look not just at a stone pillar, but at a living diary of Earth's weather, written slowly in layers of shimmering mineral. Cave paintings reveal lost animal species. The walls of ancient caves bear images of animals that no longer roam the earth. Painted tens of thousands of years ago, these depictions capture details of fur, horns, and body shapes that sometimes match no living species. From these images, scientists have learned about extinct creatures, like the woolly rhinoceros or steppe bison, confirming their existence alongside humans. The accuracy of these paintings is astonishing, suggesting that early humans were careful observers of the natural world. In some cases, paintings reveal behaviors, herds in motion, animals hunted with spears, or interactions long vanished from our landscapes. These artworks are not just art but data, preserving biological information across ages. They remind us that caves are libraries of memory, keeping alive the forms of animals erased from the living earth. To gaze upon them is to see the lost companions of humanity, preserved in mineral and shadow. Caves have preserved footprints from prehistoric humans. In certain caves, the soft mud of ancient floors has preserved footprints left by humans tens of thousands of years ago. These impressions remain visible today, frozen moments of someone walking barefoot in darkness, carrying torches, perhaps searching for water or exploring with companions. Some trails reveal children's steps alongside adults, evidence that entire families ventured into these hidden spaces. Others show dancing, running, or patterns that hint at rituals. To see them is to feel a shiver of connection. Not art, not tools, but the direct trace of feet on earth, as though the person just left moments ago. Protected from wind and rain, these tracks endure as some of the oldest human footprints in existence. They transform caves into time machines, allowing us to follow, step for step, in the paths of our ancestors across unimaginable spans of history. Certain caverns hide inscriptions from ancient travelers. Beyond paintings and footprints, caves also preserve words. In many parts of the world, travelers, monks, or wanderers carved inscriptions into stone walls. Some are simple names, others elaborate messages, dates, or prayers. In Roman times, soldiers scratched graffiti into caves where they camped in medieval Europe. Pilgrims etched crosses and invocations. These inscriptions offer a window into the personal presence of individuals long gone, carrying their voices across centuries. For archaeologists, they provide invaluable records of who passed through and why. To stand before a carved name from 1,000 years ago is to feel the immediacy of history, the knowledge that someone stood in that exact spot, holding a tool, deciding to leave their mark. Caves thus serve as libraries not only of natural history, but of human expression, preserving voices that would otherwise have vanished into silence. Underground rivers can suddenly disappear. In karst landscapes, underground rivers often behave unpredictably. A stream may flow steadily for miles, only to vanish abruptly into a fissure, swallowed by the earth. On the surface, it seems to disappear, leaving behind only a dry channel. In truth, the water continues below, winding through hidden cave systems before resurfacing elsewhere, sometimes miles away. For early people, such vanishings were mysterious and unsettling, spawning myths of magical waters or hungry spirits. Modern science explains them as features of porous limestone, where water finds unseen roots underground. Yet even with explanation, the effect remains uncanny, rivers dissolving into stone, leaving only silence behind. To witness such a disappearance is to be reminded that water, like time, flows in ways often invisible, shaping the world through paths hidden from ordinary view. Caves, with their shifting rivers, reveal the secret plumbing of Earth. Some caves connect entire valleys. While many caves are hidden chambers, some form vast networks linking entire valleys or regions. Water, carving relentlessly through limestone, creates tunnels that pierce beneath hills and mountains, joining distant rivers and springs. Explorers following these passages may travel for miles underground, entering in one valley and emerging in another. For early humans, such connections must have seemed miraculous, offering secret routes beneath the land. For animals, they serve as corridors, guiding migrations of bats, insects, and even fish. Scientists trace these systems to understand how water moves beneath the surface, feeding aquifers and shaping landscapes above. To walk through a cave that links distant valleys is to cross hidden highways of nature, invisible from above, yet vital to life. It reveals how interconnected Earth truly is, with threads of stone and water binding landscapes together beneath the ground. There are still caves waiting to be discovered. Despite modern exploration, satellites, and global maps, caves remain one of the last frontiers on Earth. Every year, new systems are found, hidden entrances in jungles, icy tunnels beneath glaciers, or deep shafts in mountains. Some discoveries add miles to known networks, while others reveal entirely new worlds. Scientists estimate that the majority of caves on Earth have yet to be discovered. This means there are still untouched chambers filled with crystals, rivers, fossils, or life forms awaiting human eyes for the first time. The thought is humbling. Entire landscapes beneath our feet remain unseen. For explorers, the promise of discovery drives expeditions into remote corners of the globe. For the rest of us, it is a reminder that mystery endures, that Earth still holds secrets deep in shadow, waiting quietly for curiosity to lead us down into them. Entire ecosystems depend on bat guano. Bats roosting in caves bring with them one of the most important resources in the underground world: guano. Their droppings, though unassuming, form the foundation of entire ecosystems. In total darkness, where no plants grow, guano provides nutrients for fungi, bacteria, insects, and countless other organisms. From there, food webs unfold. Spiders feed on the insects, salamanders hunt the spiders, and larger animals thrive in turn. Guano also influences the chemistry of caves, adding nitrogen and phosphorus that change mineral formations. For humans, guano has been valuable too, mined as fertilizer for crops. Though it may seem humble, guano is life itself for many cave systems, the gift of winged visitors who feed above ground and bring energy back to the underground. Without it, many caves would be barren. With it, they become thriving, bustling ecosystems built upon this unlikely treasure. Ancient myths described caves as entrances to the underworld. Across cultures, caves were often imagined as doorways to the realms of the dead. To the Greeks, the yawning mouth of a cavern could be the path to Hades. In Mesoamerican traditions, caves were seen as portals to the underworld, sacred spaces where life and death intersected. The darkness, depth, and silence of caves naturally evoked mystery, places where the living could sense proximity to something beyond ordinary existence. These myths were not mere superstition, but reflections of awe, inspired by landscapes that seemed to descend forever. Entering such a cave may have felt like crossing into another dimension, one that ordinary sunlight never touched. Today, we see caves through the lens of geology and science, but the resonance of myth lingers. To walk into a cavern still feels like stepping into a liminal place, suspended between the known world and the mysteries that lie beyond. Some cultures believed gods lived in caverns, For many ancient societies, caves were not just homes of the dead, but also dwellings of divine beings. In the Himalayas, caves became sanctuaries of gods and holy figures. In Mesoamerica, they were thought to house deities of rain, fertility, and creation. To step into a cavern was to approach the heart of divine power, where offerings could be left and prayers might echo toward the gods. The darkness was not emptiness, but presence, a chamber filled with spirit. In some traditions, caves were even considered the womb of the earth itself, a sacred origin point from which humans or gods first emerged. Archaeological evidence shows altars, carvings, and ritual deposits left deep underground, suggesting that people ventured into these spaces not for shelter, but for communion. Caves became cathedrals without architects, sanctuaries carved by nature but infused with human reverence for the unseen. Folk tales tell of spirits haunting underground passages. In countless stories, caves have been places of haunting. Folk tales across Europe, Asia, and the Americas speak of spirits, demons, or lost souls wandering subterranean halls. Echoes became voices, drafts became ghostly breaths, and strange animal calls were woven into tales of restless presences. For villagers living near gaping cave mouths, the unexplored darkness was fertile ground for imagination. Such stories also served as warnings, keeping children and wanderers from entering dangerous places where falls, floods, or suffocation might await. Even today, stepping into a cave can stir a primal unease. The shadows and silence feel alive, as though unseen watchers linger in the stone. These tales, though born of fear, highlight humanity's deep awareness of caves' power. They are reminders that the underground, for all its wonders, has always been a place where imagination thrives, where the natural and supernatural blur in the depths of darkness. Treasure legends are tied to remote caves. From pirate gold to hidden relics, caves have long been entwined with stories of treasure. Their inaccessibility, secrecy, and permanence made them ideal hiding places. Ancient rebels stashed weapons in them, kings concealed wealth during invasions, and myths claimed that dragons guarded golden hoards inside vast caverns. Even today, treasure hunters seek caves rumored to contain lost riches. While most such tales are folklore, some are true. Caves in Israel preserved the Dead Sea Scrolls for millennia, and in parts of Europe and Asia, hoards of coins and jewelry have been uncovered. These stories endure because caves embody mystery. They are natural vaults, sealed by stone, immune to storms and fire. Whether the treasure is real or imagined, the allure of hidden wealth beneath the earth fuels imagination. Each cave becomes not just a geological marvel, but a potential chest of secrets waiting in the dark. Shamans used caverns as sacred ritual sites. Caves were not only physical shelters, but also spiritual ones, chosen by shamans for rituals and journeys into altered states of consciousness. The isolation, the deep silence, and the absence of light created environments ideal for visions and meditation. In some cultures, shamans painted walls with symbolic figures, believing the stone itself was a bridge to spiritual realms. The echo of drums or chants magnified in the chambers may have felt like communication with other worlds. Archaeologists have discovered offerings of bones, pottery, and pigments deep inside caverns, far from any habitation, evidence of ritual use. These spaces were portals, places where shamans believed they could cross between the material and the immaterial, carrying back wisdom, healing, or prophecy. To imagine such ceremonies is to understand caves not only as geology, but as sacred theaters of human spirituality, echoing with prayers and visions in the timeless dark. Medieval hermits lived in isolated caves. During the Middle Ages, caves became homes for hermits seeking solitude, prayer, and escape from worldly distractions. These individuals carved out lives in the silence of stone, sometimes creating chapels or carving small symbols on the walls. Pilgrims would seek them out, believing their isolation gave them wisdom or closeness to God. In mountainous regions of Europe, entire communities grew around hermitages built into cave mouths, where recluses lived in contemplation for decades. The steady temperature, seclusion, and natural shelter made caves ideal for such lives of austerity. Legends abound of saints and monks who endured years of solitude in these spaces, emerging with teachings that inspired communities. To step into a hermit's cave today is to feel the weight of devotion that once filled it, the quiet persistence of human beings seeking transcendence in the deep, echoing silence of the underground. Ancient kings hid in caves during wars. Caves have not only sheltered the poor and the holy, but also the powerful. Throughout history, kings, rebels, and entire armies used caves as refuges during times of war. In the Bible, King David is said to have hidden in the cave of Adullam. In Asia and Europe, rulers concealed themselves in mountain caves during invasions, waiting for the tide of battle to turn. The strategic advantage was clear. Caves offered concealment, security, and defensible positions. Archaeologists have uncovered weapons, armor, and supplies stashed in such refuges, evidence of rulers clinging to survival in times of crisis. For those leaders, caves were last resorts, silent fortresses shaped not by human architects, but by the earth itself. Their stories remind us that caves were more than shelters of myth and mystery. They were also places where the course of history bent in moments of desperation and survival. Literature often describes heroes descending into caves. From ancient epics to modern fantasy, caves serve as powerful symbols in storytelling. Heroes often descend into caverns as part of a larger journey, facing trials in the darkness before returning transformed. In Greek mythology, Orpheus ventured into the underworld through a cavern to retrieve Eurydice. In Dante's Inferno, the journey into hell begins with a descent into shadowy passages. Even today, fantasy novels and films frequently use caves as stages for revelation, danger, or rebirth. The symbolism is clear. Entering a cave is a journey inward, into the unknown parts of the world and of the self. Emerging from it often represents renewal, wisdom, or victory. These recurring motifs show how deeply caves resonate in the human imagination. They are not only places of stone, but archetypes, where physical descent becomes a metaphor for transformation, courage, and discovery in the timeless patterns of storytelling. Caves symbolize mystery in countless cultures. Across the world, caves embody mystery, embodying both fear and fascination. For indigenous peoples, they were sacred birthplaces or spirit dwellings. For Greeks and Romans, they were divine thresholds. In Asia, they became temples carved directly into stone. Even in modern culture, caves still appear as symbols of hidden truth, danger, or discovery. Part of this universality lies in their nature. They are spaces humans cannot see into without effort, places where daylight stops and imagination begins. Every culture has projected meaning into that darkness, from womb-like safety to threatening void. To this day, caves symbolize what is unknown, both literally as unexplored realms and metaphorically as inner mysteries of the human spirit. Their persistence across myth, religion, and art proves that they are not just geological features, but symbols deeply woven into the fabric of human thought, representing the eternal tension between fear and wonder. Some pilgrims still journey into sacred caverns. Though many ancient cave traditions belong to the past, some are alive even today. In parts of Asia, Europe, and the Americas, pilgrims still descend into sacred caverns to pray, meditate, or seek blessings. These journeys often involve ritual purification, offerings, or chanting within chambers that echo with centuries of devotion. In India, the Amarnath cave houses a naturally forming ice lingam, attracting thousands of worshippers each year. In Greece, holy grottos are still visited as places of healing. The act of journeying into darkness, carrying light, has not lost its power. Pilgrims emerge believing they have touched the sacred, bridging human fragility with something eternal. These living traditions remind us that caves are not only geological wonders or historical relics, but active spiritual landscapes. They continue to inspire awe, faith, and reverence, connecting the present to ancient practices of honoring the mysterious depths of the earth. Scientists use caves to study climate history. For scientists, caves are more than natural curiosities. They are archives of the planet's history. Stalagmites and stalactites preserve chemical records of rainfall and temperature, allowing researchers to reconstruct climates stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. Cave sediments also hold pollen grains, dust, and fossil remains, each layer a snapshot of past environments. These records are crucial for understanding long-term patterns of climate change, giving context to the rapid shifts we see today. Unlike surface records, caves protect these archives in stable conditions, untouched by erosion or disturbance. In this way, caves serve as natural laboratories, where geology, biology, and climate converge. To enter such a cave with scientific eyes is to walk through time itself, surrounded by the planet's memory written in stone and soil. Each drip, each layer, becomes a word in Earth's long story of shifting seasons and evolving skies. Underground microbes may guide the search for life on Mars. One of the most exciting frontiers in science lies in the microbes that thrive in caves. Many survive without sunlight, feeding on rock or chemical reactions. These organisms prove that life does not always need the energy of the sun, a revelation with profound implications for astrobiology. On Mars, scientists believe lava tubes may exist, sheltered environments that could protect microbes from radiation and extreme temperatures. Studying Earth's cave microbes helps us imagine what Martian life might look like: small, resilient, clinging to stone in hidden pockets. Caves on Earth are, in a sense, analogues of extraterrestrial environments. Each discovery of a new microbial community expands our sense of what is possible beyond our planet. The humble bacteria of a cave wall may one day guide the search for life elsewhere in the cosmos, bridging the deepest shadows of Earth with the stars above. Caves mimic conditions on other planets. For space scientists, caves are valuable not only as metaphors, but as testing grounds. The conditions inside, total darkness, isolation, humidity, and restricted movement, mimic challenges that astronauts may face on other worlds. Lava tubes on the Moon or Mars could provide natural shelters, much like caves on Earth. To prepare, researchers use caves as training environments, sending astronauts underground for days or weeks to practice survival in confined alien settings. These experiences test teamwork, endurance, and adaptability. The rock overhead feels heavy, the sense of separation from the surface profound, not unlike what future explorers may feel beneath extraterrestrial stone. Caves, therefore, are not only ancient places of myth and history, but also futuristic laboratories, helping humanity rehearse for journeys beyond Earth. In their silence and strangeness, they whisper lessons for both our past and our cosmic future. Robots practice space exploration in lava tubes. Robots designed for planetary exploration are often tested in lava tubes here on Earth. These caves, carved by ancient volcanic flows, resemble the hollowed channels scientists expect to find on the Moon or Mars. In their darkness, robots practice navigating rough terrain, mapping with lasers, and surviving without human guidance. Prototypes crawl, roll, or fly through these underground landscapes, preparing for missions where no human can yet tread. The work is part of a vision in which machines precede us, exploring dangerous environments, locating safe shelters, and scouting resources. Each test in an earthly cave is a rehearsal for a journey millions of miles away. In this way, caves connect geology with technology, ancient stone with future dreams. They remind us that exploration begins in hidden corners of our own planet, training us for the day when those shadows extend across alien worlds. Caves could provide shelter for future moon colonies. One of the biggest challenges of building bases on the Moon is protection from radiation, meteoroids, and extreme temperatures. Caves, particularly lava tubes, could solve this problem. With their thick stone ceilings, they offer natural shielding far superior to anything we could construct easily. Scientists envision future astronauts establishing habitats inside these underground refuges, where temperatures remain stable and resources like water ice may be accessible. The idea transforms caves from places of ancient shelter for humanity into potential homes for spacefarers. Just as early humans sought safety in caverns, our descendants may one day live in lunar caves, gazing not at sunlight filtering through stone, but at Earth itself rising in the black sky above. It is a poetic continuity. The same instinct that drew us into caves thousands of years ago may guide us as we step beyond our home world into the cosmos. Certain minerals found in caves are used in medicine. Caves are treasure troves, not just of beauty, but of minerals with surprising medical importance. Minerals like gypsum, calcite, and epsomite have been used for centuries in remedies or as sources for compounds in medicine. In some cases, minerals from caves help produce pharmaceuticals or provide models for synthetic drugs. The unique chemistry of cave environments often creates rare mineral combinations not found elsewhere. For traditional healers, cave salts and crystals were prized for their perceived healing properties, sometimes ground into powders or dissolved into waters. Today, researchers study these materials not only for direct use but for inspiration, as their crystal structures can guide medical design. To consider a cave as a pharmacy feels astonishing, yet it reflects the truth that the underground world is still full of untapped potential. What looks like simple stone may contain compounds with the power to heal. Cave bacteria have revealed new antibiotics. Among the most promising discoveries in caves are microbes that produce novel antibiotics. Isolated in environments cut off from the surface for millions of years, these bacteria evolved unique chemical defenses to compete with other microorganisms. When studied, their compounds sometimes prove effective against dangerous human pathogens resistant to existing drugs. This means caves may hold answers to one of the greatest medical challenges of our time: antibiotic resistance. Already, cave bacteria have yielded substances showing promise in laboratory tests, inspiring scientists to search deeper into remote, untouched systems. The implications are profound. Hidden in the silence of caves may be life-saving medicines waiting patiently in the genomes of humble microbes. It is a reminder that caves are not barren voids, but laboratories of nature, where unseen battles between microbes may one day save countless human lives. Underground lakes preserve isolated gene pools. In deep caves, isolated lakes and pools can remain sealed from the outside world for thousands of years. Within them, creatures evolve in isolation, their populations cut off from others of their kind. The result is unique gene pools, reservoirs of biodiversity found nowhere else on Earth. Blind fish, strange crustaceans, and microscopic life thrive in these hidden waters, each population shaped by the peculiarities of its confined home. Scientists study them as windows into evolution, observing how species adapt to scarcity, darkness, and isolation. Some of these lakes are so cut off that they may preserve lineages unchanged for vast stretches of time, like living fossils. To peer into such a lake is to glimpse both the fragility and resilience of life. Enclosed in stone yet thriving in silence, a secret ecosystem written into the blueprint of evolution itself. Future technology may allow entire 3D scans of caves. Mapping caves has always been slow, painstaking work. But emerging technology promises a revolution. With advanced laser scanning and drone-like devices capable of flying through tunnels, explorers may soon create complete three-dimensional models of entire cave systems. These scans will capture not only the shape of passages, but also the delicate textures of formations, preserving them digitally for study and protection. Such models could allow virtual exploration, letting anyone walk through caves in detail without ever setting foot inside. They also serve as vital archives, recording fragile environments before they are altered by climate change, human impact, or natural collapse. To imagine every twist and chamber rendered in perfect detail is to realize that caves, once hidden and mysterious, may soon be mapped in ways our ancestors never dreamed. Yet even then, the physical experience of stepping into darkness will always retain its unique wonder. Caves continue to teach us about Earth's hidden secrets. Caves are more than voids beneath our feet. They are storytellers, scientists, and sanctuaries all at once. They preserve the history of our planet in fossils, minerals, and climate records. They guard rare ecosystems, showing us how life adapts in darkness and scarcity. They inspire myths and legends, revealing the deep influence of mystery on human imagination. And they remain frontiers of exploration, with new passages, species, and insights still waiting in silence. As we look to the stars, caves also guide us, offering models for how life might endure on other worlds. In every sense, caves are bridges between past and future, between science and myth, between Earth and cosmos. They remind us that the greatest wonders often lie hidden, quiet, and patient, waiting for curiosity to uncover them. In their depths, we glimpse not just the planet's secrets, but our own. And so, dear listener, our journey through the hidden world of caves comes to a close. From the slow drip of water carving stone to the glow of crystals forming in silence, we have wandered through passages shaped by time itself. We've stood beside rivers that flow in darkness, heard echoes that last longer than a heartbeat, and followed the footprints of ancestors who once carried fire into the depths. We've seen how caves preserve both the memory of ancient seas and the fragile lives of creatures who thrive without light. Caves remind us that the Earth is deeper and stranger than it first appears. They are places of shelter and mystery, of science and story, where the patience of geology meets the resilience of life. They show us that the world beneath our feet is not empty, but alive with secrets still waiting to be discovered. As you lie here now, letting your breath settle, imagine descending gently into the cool stillness of an underground chamber. Hear the steady drip of water echoing in the silence. See the faint shimmer of mineral walls, untouched for centuries. Feel the air, calm and constant, wrapping around you like a blanket of stone. In this timeless quiet, the world above grows distant, and you are held in stillness, safe and at rest. The caves endure. They wait in patience, in silence, in shadow, reminding us that even in darkness, there is wonder. And just as they wait, so too does sleep, ready to carry you into dreams. If you happen to still be awake, you can go ahead and watch the next video when you're ready. But if your eyes are growing heavy, let the silence of caves guide you into rest. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and drift into sleep, into stillness, into the vast and hidden quiet beneath the earth. Good night.